Ajahn, of course, but also the remarks of other people, you know. I'm really grateful.
I'm glad it was useful.
Yeah.
Let's check. Ajahn, are you here now?
Swadika ทุกคนค่ะ
Sawadika, Ajahn.
Yeah, Ajahn.
Perhaps you'd like to start, Nina. Then.
Oh, yes, I can start. I'm unmuted. Yeah. So I have so many very good reminders. I'm so very grateful because last time Sarah had a very good example about having a cold years ago in Thailand, and then Ajahn reminded her that a pleasant feeling is painful feeling with body consciousness. That's vipaka only a moment, but then dosa arises with unpleasant mental feeling. And that happens all the time to me too, to everybody. But the bodily pain is so very, very short. And all the time, Ajahn gives us reminders now how short a moment is. I never realized it before so much, but a little more I start to understand. And we had reminders that it is our life is nama and rupa, and the difference. Because kaya nupassana is not vedana nupassana. That means in English, the body consciousness is a different moment from feeling the body consciousness and feeling this starts with body consciousness. And there was a reminder about nama and rupa that is different, and with this example it becomes a little clearer, because I always wondered about the difference between nama and rupa, which is emphasized so much. And another point that was stressed also by others, that we should not try to be aware of anything and try to find out, but just letting go of self. And we do not want to pain, we dislike it, but don't try to change it. And then Jyotika had such a good remark. She said that everything is about understanding, because people are used to be notice this and notice that, and they take that for awareness. But it is understanding. And Sarah stressed, if there is no understanding, it's always my pain, my arm, and focus to be aware. And yesterday troubles are all gone. So I had really lovely reminders.
And this is the only way to develop understanding about whatever is now appearing. See, the only way to understand this moment, not just trying to find out, but the characteristic of our reality is there now. So without understanding that it's there as just as it is. For example, hardness now, no idea yet, not thinking about it, it's hard. At that moment, it can be a little more understanding. And when it's clear that just thinking, not just only thinking, but the characteristic there appears, and panya begins to develop, because at that moment, even we don't use the term direct awareness, but when a characteristic, remember, a characteristic which is as it is, that which experiences. We don't think about the word. For example, seeing right now, there can be the understanding of it's there, and it sees, because we are used to understand the seeing as that which sees, but not at moment when it's now the moment of beginning to develop the understanding of that which experiences. And then not me, no I, who sees, when there is a little more understanding of that experiences. Only that which experienced the object which is seen. It has to begin right now or no matter when, but the way is just beginning to notice or to be aware with understanding. Even it's not clear in the beginning, but it's not the moment when we do not think about it anymore. Even it's now appearing. No thought about that, just talk about it. It's not the moment of begin to understand the characteristic which experiences that which is seen. Even the tea, see, what appears, if we don't think about the cup or the tea, what is there? And what is there is the beginning of understanding. No one, nothing in that at all. Hardness or taste, heat or cold, see? It appears and then gone. Each reality is just like in a dream, never lasts at all. Even that very moment of sipping, tasting, holding, hardness, no cup, no one, no thing, until it is getting closer and closer to that which appears as it is very shortly. It's different from this moment, see, all gone, all the time. So no matter what is there, it depends on conditions for direct understanding with direct awareness of that characteristic is there. Beginning and begin again and again. Because when it's gone, there are moments of akusala and ignorance again. See, it's not far, it's so close. At moment of tasting, at moment of hardness, at moment of heat, it's there. It's there, only for a very short moment. So true, all gone. So natural, because Dhamma has its own characteristic, each one. Heat, seeing, thinking, everything, all are Dhammas. Which is so true, so different, arising and falling away, even right now, one by one. So when we talk about seeing, the seeing is now. And when we talk about hardness, hardness is there. Depending on understanding, whether it understands that which is now appearing, as it is from hearing, considering, on and on and on. At that moment, no I, no one, not anyone there, not anything else there. Only heat is heat. Thinking is thinking. Begin to understand the difference between the different realities. Otherwise, they are all together so very rapidly, even they are different. And attachment and ignorance is there, covers up the truth of it, that it's not there anymore. At moment of hearing, no seeing, no thinking, only that. And understanding will lead to understand that characteristic, no matter what, by conditions. So one can understand the anotherness more about that which is now appearing by conditions. No one can make thinking to think that way, or seeing arises and see the object that which is there. Just only that, pay attention to that only, with more understanding, to be direct understanding that which is only one characteristic. If there is no intellectual understanding about the difference of all Dhammas, how can there be moment of understanding that which is there as different from the other thing. For example, seeing right now is not this hearing. They are different. With more understanding, they can be conditioned for having attention or awareness of that characteristic, little by little, one by one. When it's strong enough, only just one can appear clearer or well enough to understand it as not the other, not just by thinking. It seems like that so many people, if we try to know them all, it's impossible just to know one by one. It begins to understand that, oh, this one is not that one. Only one at a time, and so very short, just be there and then gone. But there are other realities conditioned to appear, but in a day, without intellectual understanding, no conditions to understand that, even thinking about that in a day. That's why it takes quite a long time to see the value of the moment of thinking about the truth wisely until it can be moment of understanding that. We don't know when and where at all, but the understanding of the anatta-ness begin to be firm and more confidence about anatta, which means no thing, no I at all. But there are different realities right now. One by one can be object of understanding. But when there is no panya, the arising and falling is so rapidly that there is no understanding of each different one arises and falls away continuously until it appears as something with mind, with the mark of something there, the sign, the mark, the nimitta. So we live in the world of nimitta when there is no understanding. But when there is the understanding, nimitta is still there, but the understanding of each reality, which is the composition of a nimitta, because they arise and fall away, many, many moments, enough to appear, even now as seeing is seeing, so many seeings. Hardness, so many moments of experiencing hardness. And this is life with understanding or with forgetfulness, and no moments to think, even thinking about that. So there must be the suttamaya panya, which can condition chintamaya panya, and these are the development of bhavana maya panya, begin to develop little by little, moment to moment. Many moments all gone. Uncountable, no one can count, because what appears now as nimitta of that which arises and falls away in split seconds. Each word can be understood, can be proven, can be directly understood. Because even right now, hearing, different from thinking, all gone, depending on how much understanding is there about that which is now appearing. How can seeing be anyone? Because it's gone. Just a moment ago or yesterday never lasts at all. It has to be as it is, arising and falling away in split seconds. If one takes the seeing for eye, it's gone. When seeing is gone.
I'd just like to welcome David, who I think is new to the discussion here. Hi, David. I don't know if you are familiar with the Pali terms, but I think just in brief, what Ajahn was talking about are the two kinds of realities. For example, we think that it's I who sees, but in fact there is the reality of seeing which sees, and that which is seen, that which is visible at this moment, no I who does anything. And we think that what is seen is my arm, my leg, the table, but in fact it's just that which is visible, followed by a lot of thinking about my painful leg that needs bandaging, or my head that is cold, or the table and the cup. So we're discussing the nature of the absolute realities at this moment that either experience, such as seeing and hearing, or those realities that can only be experienced, such as sound or visible object that is seen. And Ajahn was just talking about different levels of understanding. So in the beginning, there has to be the hearing from reading or listening about the different realities. Otherwise, if one never heard or read about them, one would have no idea that at this moment what is touched is just hardness, not a table. So there has to be the hearing and discussing about different realities. And that understanding from the hearing may condition more wise consideration. So without the wise consideration about what's been heard, there cannot be any development of understanding. And it's that wise consideration about different realities of life again and again that leads to direct understanding of realities. Some people think that there can be direct understanding and then afterwards thinking about it, but it's the other way around. There has to be the hearing about the realities, the wise considering, leading to the direct understanding. And the main point is that all these different realities, those realities which experience and those realities that don't experience anything, they are all anatta, not self, not my seeing, not my hearing, not my sound that is heard, not the painful feeling, not my painful feeling. So gradually, through understanding about the different realities of life now, there is a gradual letting go of the idea of someone and something. And this is the way that understanding gradually develops. Do you have any questions or anything you would like to raise at all?
Thank you very much. Sorry for my bad English. My question is how to apply this philosophy in the real moment of action, when I have to act to maybe I'm looking to my child, maybe I'm doing something which requires concentration, and I have to do this, and I have to think that there is something wrong which I don't want, something good which I want in my action. So how to apply this concept in the real moment of action for the good of somebody?
Can we say it is this moment? For example, now, this moment, there may be wise considering or unwise considering. There may be wholesome states of mind or unwholesome states of mind. And it seems that I can do something, I can apply, I should try to have the wholesome or the good states of mind, and I should try to stop the bad ones, such as the attachment or the anger that may arise. But actually at this very moment, is it possible to make any particular state of mind arise? is it possible for I to do anything or to apply anything? Or is it just a phantom of the imagination, a fantasy, the idea that there is an I that can apply, that can do anything? So right now, what is the I that can apply or can do anything?
Okay. Even if I let go the feeling of the I, but there is something to do for the sake of the others, for the good, to make good to other people. And so in this moment, I have to decide what is good for others, even if I don't have a feeling of myself, of an ego. So in that moment, I have a sort of attachment for what is good and sort of aversion for what is bad. And so my state of mind has got some attachment, but I think that it is good for the others. So I'm not in a state of peace. It's not a real peaceful mind, because I have to avoid something and to do something.
So at this moment of when there is a moment of kindness, for example, sharing what one understands with others, or helping someone have their cup of tea, for example, at that moment of kindness, it's different from when it's attachment, when it's trying to have good. But the moment of kindness now, can I make kindness arise, or does that kindness just arise when there are conditions, causes for it? No one wants to have attachment to kindness, but if there are conditions or causes for attachment to arise to that kindness, that attachment will arise. And like you say, when there is attachment to doing good, the mind is agitated, different from at the moment of kindness, when it's calm, no agitation at that moment. But each moment in life, no matter it's seeing now or hearing now, kindness now, or attachment, clinging now, each one arises because of different conditions. We think it's because of I. We think I can decide to see now. I can decide to hear now. I can decide to have kindness now. But if I can decide to have kindness, why not have kindness all the time? No one can stop attachment arising when there are conditions for attachment. No one can stop irritation arising when there are conditions for irritation. So by understanding more about life at this very moment, what is real right now, like seeing now, we gradually learn that no one can stop seeing arising when there are conditions for seeing. No one can choose what hearing will hear now, because it depends on conditions. So by understanding more about this moment, gradually wise considering and the understanding begins to let go of the very strong and deep hold of the idea of self. I think Jonathan wanted to say something.
I was just going to add that of the kinds of wholesomeness that there can be, the greatest is the understanding of the nature of present moment reality. So in that sense, it's not important whether there is kindness or anger. It's the understanding of that reality at that moment that the Buddha taught uniquely. And as Sarah was saying, all realities are conditioned. That was the great finding and teaching. And those realities include not just what is seen and heard, but the mental states that arise. And in a sense, we can say that there is as much kindness or wholesomeness as conditions will allow, because for each of us there has been over many lifetimes the accumulation of different mental states, wholesome and unwholesome. And that's what makes us as we are today. So the reason why there's only so much wholesomeness in one's life is because that's the way that tendencies have been accumulated. There's more unwholesomeness being accumulated than wholesomeness. So accepting that, then, as Sarah said, it's not a matter of trying to change the present moment, but the unique teaching of the Buddha was the development of understanding of the true nature of the present moment.
And as soon as there is the idea of how can I apply this in my daily life, it is the idea that I can do something. It's the strong clinging to the idea that I am in control of life. But what is this I that can apply, that can do anything? Is seeing right now I? Is hearing I? Is touching I? Or is it just thinking about an idea that is I? If there's no thinking, I can do, I can apply, is there anyone that can do or apply anything? So this is the point for considering. And whilst there is always the idea that I can do something, there will always be clinging and agitation and disturbance, because it's not accepting what is conditioned already at this very moment. And this is why the Dhamma is so very deep and very subtle, because that idea, that ingrained idea of I that can apply, can do, can control, is so very strong. So this is why exactly Ajahn was talking about, and why the Buddha taught so much about seeing right now. Because if there's the understanding that it's just seeing which sees, and just that which is visible, which is seen at this moment, it becomes clearer that there are just those realities which experience and those realities that don't experience anything. Who can stop seeing arising at this moment? Who can decide or apply anything to seeing now? It's arisen, fallen away instantly, again and again and again, with thinking in between. So lots to consider.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, glad, very welcome here. But I'm sure Ajahn will have more to add too, or anyone else.
Would you like to be kind? Would anyone would like to be kind? It's your own accumulation, your own understanding, and your own like. Would you like to be kind? Very simple question. What does it mean? No answer?
I think Ajahn is directing that question to you. Would you like to give an answer?
Yes, I'd like to be useful for people.
Would you like to understand what kindness is?
Yes, certainly.
So, I think that to be kind without understanding and to be kind with understanding is different. So, what's the best thing in life? Because anyone can be kind, but what about understanding? Can anyone understand what is there now or any moment in life? All depends on ignorance or understanding. And let us consider, when there is ignorance, they bring about so many unwholesome deeds and speech, and even the mind, the mental factor is hurting that person who has such akusala, unwholesome reality. So it has to be right understanding of the truth, which is not easy at all, to understand the absolute truth of whatever is now. And when it's right understanding, it does not hurt, it doesn't harm at all. It brings more good deeds, good speech with understanding. So without understanding, no matter how much one thinks one is good enough, not enough, because not understanding the truth of what is there, even right now, is not understood. So how can there be the understanding of anything in life? That's why we have to understand what is best, the best thing in life. Because everyone has to pass away. No understanding or thinking when and how, but it has to be by conditions. So life, no matter who, goes on by accumulated conditions. That's why people are different. Some might not like to understand anything at all. They just live and want to live happily, that's all. But someone think that what is life? Can there be the understanding of the absolute truth of this moment as it is so true? And understand about birth and death and deeds and speech in a day, in one's life. Better than just live without understanding at all. Because everything does not belong to anyone at all. It's just like a dream. When one wakes up, no more. What we take as story, people and things in a dream, exactly the same. That's why, what about the past moment? Just that, the previous moment, where is it? Is it still there now? It's gone completely, never to return, not only in this life, but in samsara, no matter how many lives arising and falling away, only once in samsara, no matter it's what kind of reality which is now, but it's unknown about its absolute truth, the nature of it, it cannot stay. It's conditioned to be just that, not other thing, not different at all, no different at all. So seeing now is not seeing just a moment ago. So if is the idea of I see, right or wrong, because seeing's gone, never to return. Sound gone, hearing gone, everything is there, just so very short moment. So how can that belong to anything? Or can it be something because no more? And this is true because when there is the understanding of what was born and what dies, because one knows that one cannot live permanently at all, just one day. So life, this life is so short, and no one knows how short it will be, but what is the precious moment in life? To understand the truth, that the truth is what was born and what dies, see? So there can be the understanding of what is now appearing because the enlightenment, the Buddha, who just developed parami enough to insight the truth, penetrate the truth, the absolute truth of what he has accumulated to enlighten the truth. And he taught anyone. And after his enlightenment, he said, Dhamma is so very subtle, very difficult, but it can be understood. So he taught for anyone who listened carefully and see the value, the precious reality, which is right understanding. It can arise from the right word, taught by his enlightenment. That's why listen each word and study carefully, wisely, to be sure, firm understanding, have more confidence of the truth of what is there now as it is, that one cannot think about it or understanding it by trying to find out, but from his enlightened word, he taught about the way to letting go, wrong understanding, which takes seeing and everything today as me or mine. Actually, if there is no reality which can experience, it's impossible for anything to appear. So we have to understand what is there in a moment. For example, there is seeing. Who makes it arise? But it has arisen already. While we are talking, they're seeing all the time. Who makes it arise? No one there at all. So there must be conditions for that to arise to be only that. Seeing cannot hear. It cannot think. It just arises to see, that's all, and then gone. Where is it now? Never be found at all in samsara. And this is what it takes for life, only in a moment of experiencing an object. Can anyone stop the reality which arises to see and then gone? Just arise to hear, different from seeing, and then gone. And what has gone, can it belong to anyone anymore? Anything, no matter its attachment, anger, or whatever, only just very short and then gone completely. That is the way to letting go the ignorance and all troubles in life, because understanding that whatever is there is conditioned by conditions, and Buddha showed what are conditions for whatever arises. Even right now, without the eyes, can there be seeing? Who can make seeing? Who can try to have seeing? Impossible. And how come the eyes who make it to arise and be there? And even the eye base, where the seeing arises, is conditioned to whatever arises falls away instantly. The rapidity, the succession of the rapidity of arising and falling away of dhammas, so rapid that no one can experience it. But there is the way to understand each different one. So when there is the understanding of each different one, it's not be the same one. There can be moment of study, begin to understanding just one characteristic at a time. Otherwise, it's just only the idea. Seeing is not hearing. Is that enough? It's my seeing, not my hearing. See, that's why so many things in life unknown. And wrong understanding is there, no matter in what manners, such and such idea, such and such religion, but the truth is the truth. We cannot, even what we are talking about, we don't have to name it, what religion or what the teaching says, but it's the teaching of the truth, just about the truth, that anyone can listen and consider carefully whether it's right or wrong. And this is the beginning of right understanding. And all unwholesome moments, all troubles, all very unpleasant situation comes from ignorance. When nothing belongs to anyone at all, because it's just conditioned to arise and fall away. So it doesn't matter at all what is there, just for a very, very short moment. It cannot bring about regret or sadness or whatever as before, because it's not there anymore. But as long as still there are conditions for such and such to arise, nobody can stop its arising. And beginning to understand what is meant by no one, no self, no thing, anatta in Pali. Because atta is something, just only hardness, very, very minute, very, very tiny, and pass away instantly. How can it be something like table and chair, flowers and trees, mountain and legs and arms? As long as there is such idea, is it right or wrong? Because actually, what we take from my head to my toe, arms and legs, without that which is heart arising, can there be such thing? So in truth, in the absolute truth, what is there? Not my hand, not my head. Touch it. It's hot or heat or cold. See? And seeing is just the same. It arises to see, that's all. So it doesn't last for anyone to take it from my seeing or I see at all. And the word we use is for anatta, no thing, no one at all. Only absolute reality, no matter for whom, fish, monkey, human being, deva, or anyone. Hardness is experienced by that which arises just to experience hard, because of there is the body sense all over the body. See, these are so true to see that actually they are all conditioned realities. So realities are realities. Each is different. No one can change. No one can make it different. No one can take it for me or mine or thing at all. Just begin to consider whether it's true from birth up to death and next life, because the understanding of what is life non-stop by conditions. Is it better just to have sorrow thinking about that person, not enough kindness, and so on and on and on, without the idea, wrong understanding? How can it be yours? It's gone. And one day, when death comes, forget about this life, just like forget about last life at moment of birth. But the continuity of the arising and falling away by conditions, as long as there are still conditions, it has to go on. So it's just the word to think that it's death, but when it arises and falls away, it's temporarily death each moment. So birth and death is the arising and falling away of whatever is there and then and now. Temporarily death, exactly the same as the moment of death, and the next moment is birth. No gap at all, like now.
So it's true, it's admirable that one should have the wish to be more useful to others and develop wholesome mental states. But as Ajahn is explaining, and as the Buddha pointed out, not the highest goal, because before the Buddha's enlightenment, people had also learned to develop wholesome mental states to a very high degree. They could develop to the level of jhana, and they had no more attachment to sensed or objects. But that was not enlightenment. And the Buddha's discovery was, he appreciated that after they had been reborn in the appropriate abodes due to their high level of kusala, and their time there expired, then they would be reborn again, but no eradication of the accumulated tendency for wrong understanding and ignorance and other accumulated tendencies which had been in effect suppressed by the development of the wholesome mental state. And so the Buddha's teaching is about the only long-term way to have wholesome mental states for the benefit of oneself and others. And that is the understanding of the true nature of what is appearing at the present moment, to see in its reality that what we take for people and things are in actual terms just conditioned dhammas, arising and falling away by conditions. So the development of that understanding at the same time as revealing the truth of the present moment also helps the development of the other wholesome qualities that mean that one is more useful to others, has more kindness, and so forth. Hence, Ajahn, his question to you at the beginning, if you just want kindness or kindness with understanding, because if it's just kindness, then it's a temporary kindness. It can't last life after life. Whereas the understanding that is developed is helping to eradicate unwholesome tendencies forever, gradually, but over a long period of time.
And we're used to thinking about different situations. So we think that when I look after my child, or when I drive a car, or when I cook, it's different from now. So what we learn now has to be applied. But we gradually learn that actually life is just in a moment, just at this moment now. And there is birth and death at each moment. So the reality now of seeing or hearing or thinking falls away instantly. So conventionally, it's true. According to worldly knowledge, it's true that when looking after a child, it's different from cooking and it's different from discussing. But in terms of absolute realities, there are just different moments of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, no matter now or no matter when alone in one's flat, or no matter when looking after one's child and surrounded by people in a busy place. There are just moments of seeing and hearing and thinking, moments with attachment, moments with annoyance, moments with kindness. So life always comes back to this moment. So the opportunity for understanding and the development of any kind of wholesomeness or goodness is always right now. Otherwise, one is always thinking about, but what about when I'm in another situation? What about when I'm alone? What about when I'm looking after the child? Forgetting that life is just at this very moment and gone instantly. And
Thank you. Just one question. Maybe this kind of exercise is easier if what I am doing is has some automatic component. Maybe I'm cooking, and this is doesn't requires strong concentration and strong reasoning. So maybe in that moment I can use these teachings. But if I'm doing something which requires maybe playing chess, just for example, and so I'm playing chess, I'm so concentrated in the what I'm doing, maybe I forget this teaching in that moment, because I'm so busy mentally, and so maybe I find difficult to apply these teachings in that moment.
Then it comes back to the what has been developed as a natural tendency. So I think for all of us, we've had similar thoughts or experience when first learning about the teaching. But if one is interested in learning more about what is real at the present moment, then there's no reason why those thoughts cannot come to mind, even when one is playing chess, or one is at work, or one is concentrating, or one is watching a movie, or whatever. It's a matter of what one has heard. So even when playing chess, actually, there are multiple layers of thinking going on in one's mind. And they can be about how one is feeling, or what happened yesterday, or what's going to happen tomorrow. Whatever interests us is what comes to mind at different times, unbidden. You don't ask to think about that, it just happens. And so it is if one has an interest in any subject matter and has heard enough about it, then thoughts and tendencies can arise at any time, regardless of conventional situation. And this is the point Sarah was making. And before we've heard the Dhamma, we think of life in terms of situations. But after considering what we've heard for a while, it becomes clearer to us that the realities, the actual realities such as seeing the visible object, thinking, the hearing and the sound, are the same, regardless of the conventional situation. And so we cannot expect to see things differently from the very beginning. But if we have the idea that there has to be a special situation, only in certain circumstances can there be useful thinking about what is real at the present moment, then that would be an obstacle, wouldn't it, to that kind of reflection arising at any time. So something else to consider. It doesn't have to be a particular situation. It can be any moment.
Thank you very much.
Consciousness when playing chess any different from seeing consciousness in this moment?
Sorry?
They should not be worried.
Is the seeing consciousness any different from the seeing consciousness when playing chess? Is the hearing now any different from the hearing when playing chess?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
It's just the same reality. The seeing here, seeing now in Hong Kong or Germany or Thailand, it's just seeing. The seeing while having discussion, it's just the same as the seeing in a forest or the seeing whilst playing chess. And the thinking now, no matter it thinks about the computer or thinks about the chess, it's just thinking. So gradually we learn that there are just different realities, no matter what we call them in conventional language. And like you say, most of the time there is just concentration with attachment and ignorance most of the day, no wise reflection at all. And that's going to be the same wherever and whenever. But occasionally, because of hearing about the truth of life at any time unexpectedly, no matter we're playing chess or at home bandaging a leg, there can be moments of wise reflection. It doesn't slow down the chess game. It doesn't change the outer appearance. It doesn't stop one looking after the child. But just like attachment flashes in constantly now and ignorance flashes in all the time, so moments of understanding can arise anytime unexpectedly. If one's thinking another situation or another occasion would be better, it means there's no understanding of what is real, what is true at this moment. So it always comes back to this moment, no matter the circumstances.
Thank you.
There's no hindrance to the development of understanding with regard to the conventional situation. Anytime, any place there are realities. Sorry, Nina, carry on.
No, we don't have to worry, really. If there are lots of unawareness, we should learn that it is all by conditions, whatever happens. So if we understand that, we won't try anything, just listen more. And like Sarah said, that can be a condition for more wise reflection, but we don't try to have it, because it's the trying that is a big hindrance. It's a self coming in again all the time.
Okay. Thank you.
The only real hindrance to the development of understanding is not the playing of chess or looking after the child. It's the wrong idea that I can and should do something, or I should apply it, or I should make understanding or kindness arise. That's the hindrance, the idea that I must do something.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to be useful to others, whatever I'm doing. Also, that thought, it's a conditioned thought. So we don't try to push it away. Just understand that it is conditioned. Understanding, that is the main thing.
Okay. I will try.
We don't try.
We don't try.
Anything. Don't worry at all. We don't have to
Okay.
tire ourselves or vex ourselves that we are not successful. It makes life lighter.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else has any topic they would like to bring up. Alan, do you have anything you would like to bring up?
Yeah, I'd be interested to know the difference between the words Satyayana and Pariyatti, because as I understand it, there are 3 rounds of understanding the Noble Truths, the 4 Noble Truths, Pariyatti, Patipatti, and Pativeda. But we also have 3 words, Satyayana, Kichayana, and Katyayana. Are they the same in meaning, or is there a different meaning between Satyayana and Pariyatti, between Kichayana and Patipatti, or do they all mean the same thing?
I just explain very briefly for anyone new or not familiar with the terms, and give a brief answer, and then Ajahn will add more, I'm sure. So Alan is referring to the different levels of understanding, the different levels of understanding of the 4 Noble Truths that the Buddha taught, beginning with the understanding of how each reality is unsatisfactory because it arises and falls away. And when we read about Satyajnana, it is the Pariyatti, the right intellectual understanding, like now from considering about the truths taught by the Buddha. But as I understand it, when it's Satyajnana, it's Pariyatti, which is firm, not swayed. So it's the firm understanding, not inclined to go and focus or try and apply or go to a special place, a different situation. So it's the firm intellectual understanding that has been developed, ready to condition direct understanding of realities, which is the next level. Perhaps Ajahn would like to add more for your question.
Okay. What is Satyajnana? See, there are, okay.
Understanding the truth.
Satyajnana, how many are there of the Ariya Satya?
4.
See, 4 Ariya Satya, not just only one, right?
Yes.
So the understanding of the 4 Noble Truths, so very keen, no change, so firm, with confidence, enough, not think that, oh, it's I or it's me and I can do that or I can condition that at all. To understand about anattanness, citta as citta, cetasika as cetasika, rupa as rupa, all 4 Noble Truths. The first one is dukkha ariya satya. Whatever is there arising has to fall away. For sure, not just now, but for no matter in the past, present, or future. Sure enough, about what is there after death, the arising of the first moment of next life, see, continuously from now to then, all the time. That is the Satyajnana. from listening, considering so very firm as understanding the truth, the Four Noble Truth as it is, no doubt at all. That's why just hearing some words about reality is not enough. Not enough yet. So it cannot be Satyayana of the First Noble Truth. Life is dukkha. Is it true or not? Firm enough or not? What is true? What is dukkha? The arising and falling away of realities right now. What's the use of just no one at all? Only the conditioned reality arising and falling away non-stop, on and on in samsara. Is that not dukkha? To understand dukkha as dukkha, and the condition for dukkha, and the end of dukkha, and the way to realize the truth. All four. And so firm, that is Satyayana of the Four Noble Truth, one round of the three. And then the second one, when there is the moment of understanding what is there right now, just one at a time, appear well, just one at a time, and develop more understanding of the truth, that cannot be anything. It cannot be taken for thing at all. Hardness is just hardness. It's not my leg, it's not my head at all. Otherwise, with that idea, it means that it's not understanding that actually there is nothing, only one reality, experience one object at a time. So this is the second round of Patipatti or Kijayana of the Four Noble Truths, until Vipassana arises, no doubt, about that which appears as no one and no thing, no self at all, no world. And that is the Pativeda, the Katayana. It's known as Buddha taught, as we have firm confidence of the truth from the first round and the second round. And it goes on from the first Vipassana to the end, the realization of the truth, the enlightened moment, and that is the Katayana. It's not just talk about that which is not permanent now, but no experiences of that yet. That's not enough. That is only the first round of the Four Noble Truths. But we don't go to the dukkha of the Dhammas because it has to be studied. What condition that? And it has to fall away and never to return, and there are still conditions for other things to arise non-stop. And what is the cause? Ignorance and attachment. The second truth. See, all four has to be directly known, experienced by the three yanas, altogether 12. So Panya can understand what level it is now. And it has to go on because it's not firm enough, as it's not the Patipatti yet. And when it's begin to be Patipatti, Panya knows that as long as it doesn't appear as it is, what is meant by that which experiences has no color, smell, or anything at all. It's only that which arises and experience, imagine. No shape, no form at all, just experiences. And when it appears as no thing in it at all, no other reality, it's so clear to appear to Panya, to begin to understand it. This is the world of nothing, no thing at all, no world at all, only that which experiences. No doubt about it at that very moment, but doubt is not completely eradicated yet, because this kind of understanding is not enough, because it's so short, until Panya applies it in daily life by condition, anatta, no intention to have it arise, no expectation, and understanding the truth of anatta more and more, clearer and clearer, when there is more panya of that which begins to be object of the Katayana or Patipatti. No doubt about the three rounds of the Four Noble Truths. That's why just hearing is not enough, because it's only the intellectual understanding as long as it does not appear to direct understanding with direct awareness yet.
How does the intellectual understanding of the third noble truth, Nibbana, help us to develop understanding of reality? You talk about, yeah.
How can there be conditions for seeing?
Because of previous moments of seeing?
No one. And when there is no attachment, no ignorance about its truth, can there be the end of attachment and ignorance? Because of more and more understanding, not just from learning or hearing and considering, but when it appears directly, it's the beginning of studying that, to have more letting go of that reality, until only few realities are not enough. It has to be all realities in daily life, very natural. If one tries to do or to change or to make it, it's wrong, because the understanding of anatta-ness is not enough. So cling to that. And even right now, trying to do this or that, or just stretch your hand, who knows? Lopa is there. So when Lopa is unknown, how can it be eradicated? So the wrong view cannot understand the truth, because there is ignorance of not understanding the truth, so it's wrong understanding. For example, is there I? So we can understand that there is no I, but the reality does not appear as it is, even to direct awareness. So Panya knows when awareness, direct awareness arises, and how weak or how strong Panya is there to understand it. When there is more, it let go. So it's not self or anyone who's trying to make it this or that way, but learn to understand no one, the anatta-ness of Sankhara Khanda. There is not just the reality which is citta, the chief of experiencing the characteristic of that which is now the object. But there are also cetasikas, different kinds, arising together, performing their functions together and then fall away together. That's why chanda and alopa, adosa, amoha, and manasikara, and other cetasikas are bodhipakkhya-dhamma. To understanding this, it will let go the idea of ignorance and attachment. So as long as attachment is not known in daily life, there cannot be higher understanding, because it's only intellectual understanding. So even it's there, it depends on how great or how sharp Panya is to let go, because thinking about how can that which has been accumulated for eons and eons, uncountable eons, can be let go. Not all at once, but little by little. Even the first vipassana jhana is not the second and the third. And it takes time, depending on the accumulation of each individual, how many vipassana jhana can arise in that situation or moment, or just it appears, but Panya is not sharp enough, so it is just only the nama, rupa paricetta jhana, not higher than that. And then there is more considering in daily life, applying the knowledge from vipassana jhana. That's why after vipassana jhana, there must be parinya. See, the three parinya. In Pali, what's that? Yata parinya. Yata parinya. Realities appear as it is, no change at all. The characteristic which experiences no doubt about no shape and no form, and the object cannot appear as legs and arms and things and world, because it just through one doorway. And usually Vipassana is mind doorway, because you see that seeing just a moment, even in the seeing process, just a moment. Before seeing, the Panchattvara Vachana cannot see. And Sampatichana, after seeing, cannot see. But it experiences the same object as is there, because it hasn't fallen away yet. See, before it can be object of mind or process. See? So the process, or when it appears, well, must be through mind door. And the sensor is so very little, it cannot be anything at all. And that moment, it's the meaning of no one and no thing in it. No shape, no form. Only the nimitta of that characteristic, which is so very short. Not enough to let go whatever are there in daily life. That's right. From that exact moment of direct experience, the panya there, apply whatever is there, little by little, before there can be higher understanding. So this is the way it is.
And Alan, I think Ajahn is saying that it's the understanding of conditioned realities that is the key. So whereas you asked how can our understanding of the third noble truth help us to have a better understanding of conditioned reality, I think what Ajahn is explaining is that it's the understanding, it's the other way around, it's the understanding of conditioned realities that helps to have a better understanding of all of the Four Noble Truths, including the third one. And in particular reference to the third one, I think that as conditioned realities are seen as being conditioned, and as then that is what helps the reflection on the unconditioned. So as understanding develops and it sees realities as conditioned, as arising and falling away, that itself is a condition for reflection on the unconditioned and the reality that doesn't arise and fall away. And to my understanding, that's the connection. So again, it all comes back to the understanding of what is appearing at the present moment. And as that understanding is developed, then gradually the meaning of the Four Noble Truths, all Four Noble Truths, becomes a bit clearer.
What's the use of each moment of seeing and hearing and wholesomeness and unwholesomeness, kindness, meanness now, of any conditioned reality which arises and falls away instantly, and which is just the object of clinging and ignorance, on and on and on. So what is the purpose of lifetime after lifetime, the arising of these different realities, each one of which is dukkha, unsatisfactory? I think this is what understanding about these realities, which leads to the understanding of what is not conditioned, opposite.
So the intellectual understanding of the first noble truth is the condition for mindfulness, condition for right awareness of the Four Noble Truths. So without that firm understanding, there's no condition for realities to appear well.
And there's no conditions for understanding even the cause. So there has to be the understanding of the various realities in life right from the beginning, the moments of seeing, the moments of hearing, as being not self, not I, who can do anything or apply anything or can make anything arise or go to another situation. So it's the understanding here and now which reveals all the noble truths.
And I guess that's why it's the first sermon. That's why it's the first sermon, because it's the essence of the whole of the teaching, that the rest of the teaching is there to feed into the Four Noble Truths.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. But to get back to my original, I think I've lost the original question here. That Pariyatti, as I understand it, is the same meaning as Satyayana, and that Patipati is the same meaning as Kichiyana. Is that right?
Otherwise, what will be Satyayana?
Yeah, as I understand it, they are the same then, that it is the firm intellectual understanding of realities, which is Satyayana. It's the same meaning as Pariyatti.
And even intellectual understanding let go the idea of self at that level. And by then it can condition moment of directly aware and understanding that which is now appearing. No choice, no selection at all. This is the way to understand more about anatta until the atta is gone completely, little by little. And one realizes this is the only way to understand the truth of that which is now appears as something, because there is no direct awareness and direct understanding of our reality enough to let go the attachment to the next moment or the next object. It comes in so very rapidly, and it hinders the truth of the arising and falling away of realities. But when there is just direct awareness and understanding of one reality until it appears only one, whereas the whole world, can it be there together? Impossible. That's why one cannot imagine how it appears to such level of understanding. The realization of that which is not self at level of different vipassana, but it has to be the first moment, the first vipassana, because even right now we're talking about seeing any object, but it does not appear as just only one yet. See, so it is quite different from nothing there, only one reality. And that which experiences no shape, no form, but it experiences. What about moment of being fast asleep? Is there anything?
There is no object of the world.
No one, no thing, no
No.
possession, no home, nothing at all. Is that the truth? The absolute truth of that which experiences, because it performs the function of bhavanga. Life still go on, even not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, by conditions. And the truth of that is that while one is fast asleep, no understanding. But when there is understanding, it has to be only one at a time. But now so many moments, so many things, not one object at a time at all. So what is clear? When they are together, it's not clear, it's not well, does not appear well. But when it's only one, no doubt about that. But what about other things? See, as long as it does appear more as the higher vipassana. When one just
Ajahn, Ajahn, I've heard, and if I'm correcting, I've heard that aspect of Satyayana is that the intellectual understanding is firm enough to condition direct understanding. Is that correct?
Say it again, please.
No, I've heard about Satyayana at a level of intellect which is firm enough to condition direct understanding.
Satyayana is the understanding of reality as not self. So it's more and more firm when there's more and more panya at other levels as well. It doesn't mean that when it is.
Yes. Okay. So it becomes more firm with more direct understanding. The intellectual understanding also becomes more firm. But to Alan's question, can we really say that Pariyati and Satyayana exactly coincide, are the same thing?
What about now?
Is Satyayana and Pariyati exactly the same thing?
Okay.
Um,
What is there now?
there is hearing, there's seeing,
As usual, not appear well.
not appear
So it
well,
cannot be vipassana jnana, right?
cannot be.
And when it is moment of direct awareness, satipatthana, it does appear well as only one. Does it
Yes.
appear well enough as that?
No, no.
So, but when it's there, only one, imagine what is the meaning of just only one. The world is gone. The mountain and everything, radio and so on, nothing but that one, which is the object. And when it's the experiencing, no shape, no form, it just experiences that which is the object. So Panya understand clearer when it's one, understand the nature of that which experiences or that which is the object, different one. That is the nama, rupa, parichetayana, the difference, distinction between nama and rupa, completely, no doubt about that at all. Even nama does not appear as things, as shape and form at all, but the understanding of that which is lopa or dosa or anything, whatever is nama, different realities. One is citta, the chief of experiencing, and the others are mental factor, cetasikas, each different. Lopa is not dosa, is not moha. Appear well as it is, just one at a time. Even it arises and falls away as short as usual, because it cannot be changed to be slower or longer at all. But panya is there enough to understand because it appears well at that moment. Because you see when citta is there, which sees, or that which is seen. What about the sampatichana, santirana, and so on? Do they appear too? Not at all. Only no matter what's there, the characteristic which experiences cannot be anything else, but only no shape and no prayer, no form, just experience arising. Otherwise, it cannot experience. So while one is fast asleep, no doorway for citta to see and hear and so on, but citta performs the function of bhavanka. It's still arising and falling away unknowingly, and as soon as one wakes up, no idea yet, right? It's there, that which experiences. If sati is there enough to understand that with panya, so no doubt about when it's vipassana jnana or when one has gained that stage of understanding, whatever after that is yata parinya or parinya. That's why all the vipassana jnana have the parinya, the yata parinya, tirana parinya, pahana parinya.
Ajahn, all what you do because you sometimes does that in the beginning one has to know moments when there's sati and when there's no sati, and that also had hardly ever happened. So to know each reality one by one is a long way to go.
But
So sometimes I wonder, when we does it that needs to be understood, when it, because I start imagining what it's like to be, I think you even mentioned this now, we don't really know what it is to hear one at a time.
Sukin, I think
So
it's the same as the first question, that if there's no wise considering, if there's no firm wise considering Satchanyana, there cannot be direct understanding. But when there's direct understanding, there is still wise considering Satchanyana as well. So when it,
yes,
when we
yes.
hear, so, but without the wise considering, there can't be the direct understanding is the point. And if it's I imagining and trying to find out whether there's Satya or not, of course, that's the wrong path. It's the I applying again. But it's the same point that
Right.
without, it's the wise considering that gradually leads to the direct understanding. And then, of course, there will be doubt and wise considering and doubt and wrong ideas in between. So it's a gradual development of understanding, but it doesn't mean just wise considering, then direct understanding, and then vipassana jnana all the time. It's not like that at all. So it's just a gradual understanding, but in between, wrong understanding and doubt. But gradually, as understanding develops, less and less trying to apply or imagining or trying to work it out or wondering how it happened.
Now, what I'm questioning is, because there must be a beginning when pariyati, there must, beginning levels of understanding weak, the Satyayana apart to very level of understanding. Because we talk about understanding each one was Satyayana, Kichayana, Katyayana. So all four, so pariyati must be from some level to be called Satyayana.
I think sometimes we get lost in the terms and words and just forget about what is appearing now, what can be understood now. For example, if there's understanding that of seeing now, world is just this moment of seeing, and we don't have to think about whether it's one moment or many moments of seeing. Actually, we know it's sign or the meter of seeing that appears, but at the moment of understanding, it's just the characteristic of reality. We don't have to think about what level or what degree, but as understanding develops, it knows what degree or what kind of understanding it is. But it's not a matter of
No, yeah, it's not important. It's not important at all. I don't see the need to wonder whether or that.
Like at this moment of
because
doubt or wondering, the doubt is real, the wondering is real, and the understanding has to be of what appears right now.
I mean, all this moment is the test.
That's the test
otherwise
right
it's just
now.
Imagination.
The thinking and the wondering if it's one moment or whether it's like this, it's always back to this very moment. And that's the point that we were discussing with David. Life is just at this moment. So whatever we're talking about, however many Pali terms are used, it's always about the understanding of what appears right now, because that's all life is.
Tanda Jankup, you were speaking before about the Parinyas. Now, in each of those four noble truths, the Pali word parinyaya is used, which translated would be something like, this truth should be thoroughly known. So my question is, and you've probably answered it anyway, because you were referring to them before. So when it says this word, this truth should be thoroughly known, parinyaya, referring to Kichanyana, that refers to all those three levels of parinya that you spoke about, kata parinya, nyata parinya, the other one, tirana parinya, and apahana parinya. So that's what's meant by that word parinya. Would that be correct, Tanajan?
I think that the truth, the absolute truth, is not easily talked about with any word at all. For example, at moment of tasting sweetness or bitterness, can anyone know, or can you tell anyone to understand the truth of it when they do not taste it? So this is the truth that Buddha taught, and so it does not depend on just the word. The word is the way to convey the truth to be known, only that. But the understanding of the truth, no matter what we use the word, like vitakka, or another word for vitakka, samma sankappa, and so on, because vitakka itself is different with panya or with apanya and so on. That's why that can be known. For example, each word we should think carefully and understand the truth. For example, that which experiences first, because now there is that which know what is there at moment of seeing, what is there at moment of hearing. So that which experiences the object, which can be seen or can be heard, that's all. But the truth is that the nama, the experiences, the citta, cannot be as the rupa, which is experienced. So at moment of seeing, it experiences, but we call it Chakku Vinyana because the object is through the eye sense. And when it experiences sound, we call it hearing because it has to have the ear sense as conditions. But if you don't use any word, but it experiences to get closer and closer to the moment when it's there, the experiences, no matter what is experienced. But the truth is that no matter it's through what doorway, it experiences to understand the difference between that which cannot experience and that which can experience. No name, right? So what about the Ariya Satya? Includes everything which arises and falls away. But no one sees it as unsatisfactory or dukkha yet, because it does not appear as it really is, just arise and fall away, no one and nothing at all. So how can they be such, seeing it, the arising and falling away as dukkha, no one, nothing? So what's the use of the reality just to be conditioned to arise and fall away? That's why when there is the understanding, no word, at moment of understanding, that which experiences, no word, whether it is seeing or hearing, because no matter it sees or it hears, it experiences. But in order to know that they are different, one experiences through the eye sense and the other through the ear sense, we use different words, that's all. But the understanding is understanding the nature of that. So no matter what word is used, there can be the understanding of different realities at different levels. Even Ariya Satya, it has to be by intellectual understanding, pariyati, or satyayana, understand it so firm enough not to change. Nothing is taken for self when it's right understanding, because it's gone completely. So no matter what we use the word, we can use the right word but no understanding. Or we can use the word very easy, simple, but it can be understood. But it's good or better to understand the Pali term so that one will not have wrong interpretation of the meaning of it. So what is the question now? About the word?
Well, you've kind of answered it. Well, Tanajan, you've kind of answered it in a way. That, yes, it's true. The words are, we can get tripped up by the words, and we can know all the Pali words, but there may not be much understanding. So, but we know also that it's with words that that understanding can grow. We need words to help us to understand. But as you're correctly saying, those words can be misunderstood or misconstrued or misinterpreted or whatever. I guess my question would be, Pahana Parinya is a much higher Parinya than Nyata Parinya. Would that be correct, Tanajan?
Yes, because in the beginning it has to be Yata Parinya, which means understanding thoroughly, clearly about each reality as it is, Yata as it is. Is that right? Nama is
yes.
Nama.
Yeah, known.
It cannot be Rupa. And Tirana Parinya means that it's not enough. That's why when there is more understanding about its anicca, dukkha, it can let go the idea of self. That's why it needs more applying in daily life what has been directly experienced so clear at moment of vipassana jhana. Very short, not enough to let go wrong understanding which are accumulated from life to life, so great, so very thick. That's why without the applying the Tirana Parinya, it's impossible to understand the truth of arising and falling away. But no matter what is there, with such understanding at level of vipassana jhana, it's not forgotten at all. So it's a moment to condition the applying the truth of what is there with not just intellectual understanding, because it has experienced directly the truth already. That's why the one who hasn't gained vipassana jhana and the one who has gained vipassana jhana, the same word, but about the understanding. See, applying, not me, but panya is conditioned to arise by firm confidence of the truth which has been realized. Is there enough to any moment? It can be moment of even satipatthana with nama rupa parisirayana, but no need to say or to call it, because it's there, different from moment of just ordinary one. And that is not enough. That's why it has to apply to whatever is there in life. Enough to let go, to experience higher degree, the Pangyana and the Nipitayana, and so on. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Tanajan.
Is that clear enough? To understand the difference between the moment of applying after realizing vipassana jhana and before that, different level of understanding. Even the same word. That's why when there is the understanding of that which experience, when we hear the word seeing, there is the understanding that what seeing is. Or thinking, see, understanding what it is. Sorry again.
Thank you, Tanajan.
That's why there are different words for different stages of panya and letting go, different degrees.
And the different parinyas refer to the applying or the thorough knowing in daily life in between different levels of vipassana jnana. So after the first vipassana jnana, it can only be jnata parinya. it cannot be yet the Tirana or Vahana. So different levels after different kinds of Vipassana Jnana.
How can the understanding of the impermanency of reality which arises and falls away in daily life, if there is no level, if there is not level of vipassana jnana which realize the truth? And it has to be so natural, unexpected. More understanding of anatthaness, letting go little by little, and begin to see the master, the lopa, in order to let go, lopa. Otherwise, it's there unknowingly all the time, each moment almost. Even right now, 3 moments after seeing.
And on the point of the language, just at the very end of the last session, Alberto brought up a question about Niruti Patisambhida, and you were talking about the meaning of the Niruti and the letting go of self, the way to use words and for others, and you were mentioning that yes, it's not the grammar or the accent or the broken English or the poor Pali, but it's the speech conditioned by panya for the sake of helping others in a simple way or for developing understanding and communicating. And I thought this was very, very good point. So it all depends on the panya and what is appropriate to say. And you also talked about the last one, the last Patisambhada, the Patibana, as being the very keen and bright and clear understanding. So I thought that was interesting too, because I hadn't heard that point, because usually we say that the last one refers to the other 3, but this seemed to be a different point.
Because I think that each moment is so precious, that moment of understanding correctly. And if we don't know about the question, how much ignorance or how much panya is there, how can we help them? Otherwise, we just talk about everything, not understanding that it's useful for that particular person or not. But we have to understand at level of understanding it's there. Otherwise, we talk about nibbana, 3 characters or 3 kinds of nibbana and so on. What about this moment? What is meant by nibbana, the end of the arising and falling away, because understanding what is the cause for such reality to arise and not to arise completely. And
yes,
when,
if it's not about this moment and it's not in the language that the listener can understand and use, then it's not helpful at all.
And life is just short. As long as we can help that person to understand, is to understand that it's different from what is there in daily life, in the world. Because the world is full of everything, things and peoples, but that world is nothing. Only that which appears, no self, no one at all. But still, when it is the first level of enlightenment, sotapanna, the understanding of lopa is there, that it cannot be completely eradicated because of each individual's accumulation. And by understanding that, the panya applies in its own way. No need to try or to force for anything to arise anymore. That's why there are different kinds of sotapanna ukkala. And this is the path leading to understand what is there now, stage by stage.
And sometimes, David, we talk about how as understanding develops, that there's no one who can try or apply or do anything. It's like removing the heavy bags from one's back, taking away the stones and letting go of this strong idea that I must do something, or I should try and do this to apply or understand, because gradually it's the understanding very naturally, no matter the occasion or situation, that there is just the world of seeing now, or the world of hearing, pleasant feeling, painful feeling, just different realities in life, nothing to be done at all. So it's like a great relief, not having to think of doing anything or living in a special way or being like anyone else or needing to be the kind and good person first. It's just a matter of beginning to understand what is conditioned right here and now. Does some of this make sense to you?
Yes, very deep your teachings, and very, very useful. I just ask how, if moral conduct, ethics changes in this view, in the decision made in life, or of what have to be done. No matter if there is an I which does things, but there are things that have to be done for moral conduct, for ethics, and so if I let go everything, how can I decide with which reasoning I decide what has to be done practically, just not with emotion, but practically?
If there is no understanding now of what appears now, for example, if there's no understanding of kindness as opposed to attachment, no understanding of seeing as opposed to the idea I can see, how can there be any understanding of what is moral conduct and what is immoral conduct? For example, we make an offering at the temple. How can there be any understanding at any moment of what is true generosity and kindness and what is clinging to oneself and one's offering, if there is no understanding at that moment or this moment? Like right now, without understanding, how can it be known at this moment what is the truth of life?
Yes.
So without understanding, it's just thinking about my moral conduct or my immoral conduct, but actually it's not known at all, and it's all taken for belonging to me.
Okay.
That's why it has to come back to understanding now. Otherwise, nothing can be known at all.
But I think, David, also a comment on your question, that when we talk about letting go, it is understanding that lets go. So there are still decisions to be made in one's daily life, whether or not one is interested in having a better understanding of the reality of the present moment. And even when there is more understanding of present moment realities as being conditioned and arising by conditions beyond control, there is still thinking and deciding and making decisions as one goes through the day. So that side of life doesn't change at all. It's just that there's no longer the idea that I have to decide in a right way I have to do what is wholesome. I shouldn't be doing what is unwholesome, because there is a better understanding that a moment of consciousness arises by conditions, and it's wholesome or unwholesome by conditions. One cannot change the moment of consciousness that arises. So we need to understand letting go in that context, that if there is more understanding, there is more letting go of, in the sense of being attached to the present moment reality. But it's not that one suddenly doesn't think about what should I be doing next, or how can I best do such and such. That thinking goes on as usual.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And sometimes we put it this way: in the Dhamma, there are no shoulds. I should be doing this, I should be doing that. One acts naturally as one does now, by conditions. But the understanding of the true nature of the present moment begins to develop. And when there is a better understanding of realities, it helps to, that understanding also involves understanding the moments that are wholesome from the moments that are unwholesome. And as we know, what is useful for others and useful for oneself is the wholesome mental state, because the deed follows the mental state, not the other way around. It's not by doing good deeds that one develops wholesomeness. It's by wholesome mental state that good deeds are done. And so the understanding that is being developed helps to have a better understanding of the moments that are wholesome as opposed to the moments that are unwholesome. And perhaps it begins by appreciating that there's a lot more unwholesomeness in one's life than one ever imagined. But it doesn't matter, because that itself is understanding. It's beginning to develop. And it's better to see things as they really are than to live with the delusion that there's a lot of wholesomeness in our life. In fact, there isn't.
Very clear.
David?
Thank you.
David,
Yes.
would you describe this particular situation as busy, sitting here and discussing Dhamma on Zoom?
As if I would describe this situation as
Busy.
busy.
As, yeah.
You mean
You're doing something.
that I'm doing something? Maybe right. Yes. Maybe yes.
Maybe. But is it really any different from any other situation? There is seeing, there's hearing, there's thinking. There are all sorts of feelings.
Maybe it is more relaxing for me, because sometimes in other situations I feel the worry for the consequences of my actions
Right.
in some situations.
So, right,
in work,
right.
in job.
Yeah. So right now you feel relaxed, and so it's one kind of reality. Another moment you feel agitated. There's another kind of reality, right?
Sorry?
Being relaxed is one kind of reality. Being agitated is another kind of reality.
Yeah.
They just rise and fall away. And even now there can be some agitation.
Yeah.
Okay. But in the end, it's just one moment of experience through one doorway at a time.
Yeah.
Right. So usually we are attached to pleasant situations and don't like unpleasant situations. That's the norm. That's with everyone.
Yes.
Yes, but after having heard the Dhamma, we begin to appreciate that it's just all the same, just one moment of consciousness experiencing an object and falling away, and no understanding, only ignorance, and seeing that anything can be understood anytime.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
even now, there can be understanding.
Yes.
Right? And even now, as you were saying earlier, the importance of being kind to people in certain situations, even now there can be kindness, especially after having heard the Dhamma. There can be appreciation of kindness being able to arise at any time, not towards the people you had in mind, but towards anyone here on this in this group.
Certainly. Yes. Sure.
Right. So this is actually how it is, and this is what the understanding of reality is about. At any given moment, understanding can arise at any time. At any time, there can be wholesome consciousness arising, wholesome experiences, and there can be anything. And when it's unwholesome, that can be understood at any time. So the real obstruction, as Sarah was saying earlier, is not so much the unwholesome and the lack of wholesome, but it's the wrong understanding that there's a self who has to do something. Because
Yes.
if it is true that it can arise now, it can arise anytime, then it's the same with all situations.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Albert.
Yeah. Hi, David.
Hi.
Yeah, I was just thinking about you saying when playing chess, you need some special concentration, and otherwise maybe you lose the game, right?
Yes.
So so that's life. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. No matter we concentrate or much or not. Especially playing chess, I think one has to lose. The point is that we think about all different situations in our life, and each of us have different jobs, different background, different. But the present moment is always now, and the difficult part is just not thinking about the other moment, which hasn't come yet, and the moment which has gone already. And so we keep on thinking about tomorrow and about yesterday, but we forget about now. And that's why we need Ajahn reminding us about the present moment and the teachings of the Buddha to understand the truth, because the truth can only be now. It's not about the thinking about any situation. And so we never learned this before until we hear the teachings, and it's so almost unbelievable, almost inconceivable. But that's normal because we never heard it before, or maybe we've heard it a long time ago. And so this life, we can hear, we can hear it and we can develop it just a little bit. We don't expect to become enlightened or to see that realities arising and falling away. But we know that we begin by understanding how the truth is. And it's not easy even to understand it intellectually. At least we have a chance to hear it and consider it, and but no expectation about and our life keeps on going as before. No changes. No, we don't have any expectation about have a better life or anything, or even have a better job or having doing the right decision tomorrow, or not regretting the wrong decision we've done yesterday. It's just by conditions, and that's a good. It's a reminder for have more understanding in the future, I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Ajahn, and
Thank you.
everyone else.